Welcome to British Focus, your go-to channel for the most pressing stories and debates shaping the UK. Today, we're diving into a topic that has set the internet ablaze: Keir Starmer's controversial stance following the sentencing of Axel Ruda-Cabana. This case has sparked widespread outrage, and Starmer's response has raised serious questions about the balance between justice and international law. Stick with us as we unpack the details of this explosive case and explore the broader implications for our legal system and society. Before we get started, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. By doing so, you'll be joining our fast-growing community of viewers who are passionate about staying informed and sharing their thoughts on the issues that matter most. Don't miss out. Together, we're building a space for meaningful conversation and critical analysis. So, grab a cuppa, settle in, and let's get into it. The tragic case of Axel Ruda-Cabana has undoubtedly struck a chord across the nation, sparking widespread debate about the adequacy of sentencing laws in the UK. For many, the details of this case are deeply unsettling: a premeditated attack targeting 3 innocent girls at a Taylor Swift-themed dance class, resulting in their brutal murders. Such an abhorrent crime has left communities reeling and raised urgent questions about whether justice is truly being served. Ruda-Cabana's sentencing to a minimum term of 52 years has done little to quell public anger. The fact that he narrowly avoided a whole life order, by a mere 9 days, as he was just shy of his 18th birthday at the time of the crimes, has fueled frustration. The judge overseeing the case expressed clear frustration, stating that the limitations of the current law tied their hands. And this is where the heart of the debate lies. Should age, in cases of such extreme brutality, be a protective barrier against the harshest sentences? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. The root of this legal conundrum lies in the UK's commitment to the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, which prohibits life imprisonment without parole for minors. While this international framework is designed to uphold the rights of children, it becomes contentious when applied to cases like this. Ruda-Cabana's calculated actions, his lack of remorse, and the sheer savagery of the crime leave many questioning whether such protections are always appropriate. Surely, there must be room for exceptions in circumstances as extraordinary as these? Keir Starmer's response to the public outrage has been measured but divisive. Speaking through a Downing Street statement, he acknowledged the widespread disgust at the crimes and affirmed that such an offender should never walk free. Yet, he firmly rejected calls for a legal review to allow exceptions to the current law. The rationale? A commitment to adhering to international conventions and the precedents set by previous governments. While this position aligns with the UK's long-standing respect for international law, it leaves many feeling that justice has taken a backseat to bureaucracy. Critics have not held back. Conservative MP Robert Jenrick has dismissed Starmer's stance as a distraction, arguing that the UK's dualist legal system allows for selective application of international treaties. Jenrick is among those urging the government to explore legislative changes that would enable whole life orders for minors in exceptional cases. He's not alone in this call. Prominent voices, including Southport MP Patrick Hurley and former Director of Public Prosecutions Lord MacDonald, have echoed similar sentiments, highlighting the need for urgent reforms to better address extreme crimes. The debate has also brought Article 37 of the UN Convention into sharp focus. While the UK is bound by this provision, critics have pointed to the United States as an example of a country that takes a more flexible approach. The US, notably, has not ratified the convention and continues to impose life sentences without parole for juvenile offenders in cases of extraordinary severity. The contrast is stark and has prompted some to question whether the UK's strict adherence to international norms is coming at the expense of justice for victims and their families. One of the most compelling arguments for reform stems from the nature of Ruda-Cabana's crimes. Premeditated, targeted, and devoid of any apparent remorse, his actions are a chilling reminder of humanity's darkest capabilities. For many, this case exemplifies when exceptions to the law should be made. Supporters of reform argue that while protecting juvenile offenders is crucial, there must be allowances for situations where the crime is so heinous that it shocks the conscience of society. What do you think? Should the law be amended to reflect these extraordinary cases, or is adherence to international standards more important? Share your perspective below. Adding to the complexity of this debate is the issue of concurrent sentencing. Many believe that offenders who commit multiple murders, like Ruda Cabana, should face consecutive sentences to truly reflect the gravity of each life taken. Under the current system, concurrent sentencing can feel like an insult to grieving families, as it seemingly undermines the value of individual victims' lives. It's a deeply emotional issue, one that has further fueled calls for change. As the pressure on the government continues to mount, they face a critical decision: to uphold the current laws rooted in international conventions or to pursue legislative changes that address exceptional cases like this one. Advocates for reform believe that allowing for whole life orders in such instances would not undermine broader protections for juveniles. Instead, it would send a clear and unequivocal message that society will not tolerate such acts of cruelty. Do you agree, or do you believe that making exceptions risks eroding the principles that underpin our justice system? This case has not only reignited debate about juvenile sentencing but has also brought broader issues within the justice system to the forefront. Some are even calling for a re-examination of policies as controversial as the death penalty for the most severe crimes. While reintroducing capital punishment is a divisive topic, it reflects the deep dissatisfaction many feel with the system's ability to deliver justice. Is it time for such extreme measures, or should we focus on other reforms to address these gaps? It's a question that divides opinion, and we want to hear yours. The case of Axel Ruda Cabana is a stark reminder of the complexities of justice. Balancing the rights of offenders, particularly juveniles, against the need to protect society and deliver justice to victims is no easy task. But one thing is clear: this debate is far from over. As public outrage continues to grow, it's up to our leaders to listen and act. Whether that means reforming sentencing laws, addressing concurrent sentences, or even challenging international conventions, the time for meaningful change is now. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Should the law be amended to allow for whole life sentences in exceptional cases? Or does the need to adhere to international conventions outweigh the desire for change? We'd love to hear your thoughts. And before you go, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to British Focus for more in-depth analysis of the issues that matter most. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one. In other news, Donald Trump has made headlines once again, this time by stating his plans to call Prime Minister Keir Starmer within the next 24 hours. This announcement comes after reports revealed that Starmer has been waiting for days to speak to the newly inaugurated president. It's a curious delay, especially when considering Trump's rapid outreach to other global leaders in his first few days back in office. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, El Salvador's Nayib Bukele, and Chinese President Xi Jinping have all received calls, yet the British Prime Minister, a historically close ally of the United States, was notably absent from the early list. It makes you wonder, what does this mean for UK-US relations moving forward? Let us know your thoughts below. Trump's approach to diplomacy has always been unorthodox, and his relationship with Keir Starmer is no exception. Now, in a somewhat surprising move, Trump has publicly praised Starmer, describing him as having done a very good job so far. This compliment is particularly striking given their ideological differences, with Trump acknowledging that Starmer's liberal stance is a little bit different from me. Yet, Trump went on to say that he respects Starmer as a person and believes they share a good working relationship. It's an intriguing dynamic, one that might suggest a pragmatic side to Trump's famously combative persona. But is this genuine mutual respect, or a calculated move in the ever-complex world of political strategy? These remarks raise questions about how the two leaders might navigate their differences while maintaining the so-called special relationship between the UK and the US. Historically, the bond between the two nations has been a cornerstone of global diplomacy, yet the dynamics between leaders can significantly influence the strength of that partnership. Boris Johnson and Trump, for instance, had a famously turbulent relationship, but there was at least a shared populist streak that aligned them on certain issues. Starmer, however, represents a stark contrast, not just ideologically but stylistically as well. Will their differences lead to a productive balance, or will they create friction in what is arguably one of the most critical international relationships for both nations? It's also worth considering the optics of this delayed call. For Starmer, the wait to speak with Trump may feel like a slight, especially when other leaders received calls almost immediately. The UK has long prided itself on being one of America's closest allies, yet this delay might signal a shift in priorities under Trump's renewed presidency. Some might interpret it as a snub, while others might see it as Trump simply operating on his own timeline, something he's been known to do. Either way, it's hard to ignore the symbolism of the delay. Does this reflect the current state of the UK's global standing, or is it merely a case of Trump being Trump? Interestingly, Trump's comments about Starmer highlight a level of nuance that isn't often associated with his public persona. While he made it clear that he doesn't align with Starmer's political philosophy, he also emphasized that personal respect and professional relationships can transcend ideological divides. This might be a lesson in diplomacy that resonates far beyond this specific scenario. After all, in an increasingly polarized world, finding common ground with those who hold differing views is more important than ever. Perhaps this is a sign of a more measured approach from Trump in his second term, or perhaps it's just another example of his unpredictability. What's also fascinating is how this story intersects with the broader narrative of Trump's presidency. His first term was characterized by bold, often controversial moves that reshaped America's role on the global stage. Now, as he begins his second term, there's an undeniable curiosity about how his leadership style might evolve. Will he double down on his America First agenda, or will we see a more collaborative Trump emerge? His interactions with leaders like Starmer might offer some early clues. Let's not forget that this isn't the first time Starmer and Trump have interacted. The two reportedly met at Trump Tower in New York last September, before Trump's re-election, and have spoken on the phone twice since then. These past conversations may have laid the groundwork for their current relationship, but the real test will come as they tackle key issues together. From trade agreements to security partnerships, the stakes are high, and both leaders will need to navigate a delicate balance to ensure their respective nations benefit. At the same time, Trump's delayed call has sparked speculation about his broader foreign policy strategy. Is the UK still a priority for the US, or are other global players taking precedence? Trump's early calls to leaders like Xi Jinping and Mohammed bin Salman suggest a focus on economic powerhouses and strategic alliances. While this makes sense from a geopolitical standpoint, it does raise questions about where the UK fits into this new order. Could this be a sign of diminishing influence, or is it simply a case of timing? Of course, we can't ignore the domestic implications for Starmer. Being publicly praised by Trump is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it positions him as a respected figure on the world stage, capable of earning the approval of even his ideological opposites. On the other hand, Trump is a divisive figure, and any association with him could be a liability among certain segments of the UK population. How Starmer navigates this will be critical. Will he embrace the praise as a sign of mutual respect, or will he distance himself to avoid alienating his base? As we reflect on this unfolding story, it's clear that the relationship between Trump and Starmer will be one to watch in the coming months. The dynamics between these two leaders could shape not only the future of UK-US relations but also the broader geopolitical landscape. What do you think? Does Trump's praise for Starmer signal a new chapter in their relationship, or is it just another unpredictable twist in Trump's presidency? And what do you make of the delayed call? Is it a sign of shifting priorities, or simply a case of Trump's unconventional style? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Before we wrap up, a huge thank you to everyone who's been supporting British Focus. Your engagement and enthusiasm mean the world to us, and we're thrilled to see our community growing every day. If you haven't already, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Together, we're building a space for meaningful discussion on the issues that matter most. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.